Pain, too much pain. The profound pain permeated every inch of Jason's body. It wasn't just a feeling, it was a harsh reality unfolding upon him. At this moment, he was being greedily dissected by friends and neighbors he once trusted and helped. In this post-apocalyptic world of scarce resources, they even disregarded Jason's past assistance and raised their knives against him. As he lingered between life and death, he faintly saw his beloved goddess Jane standing at the back of the crowd, looking pitiful as she shouted, "It was me who told him to open the door. You have to leave me a piece of his rib for soup." It was this woman who tricked Jason into opening the door and ultimately killed him. Jason stared at her, his eyes filled with hatred and regret. He blamed only his own foolishness and kindness for becoming someone else's meal in this apocalyptic world. How he wished he could turn back time. If he could, he would never show mercy to anyone and only live for himself. Jason's vision quickly darkened, and he lost consciousness. Yet, in the next instant, he abruptly opened his eyes and sat up from the sofa. The hellish scenario he had just experienced, with its horrifying pain, was still vivid in his mind. Jason breathed heavily, his entire body soon drenched in sweat. "What's happening? Didn't those brutal neighbors kill me?" After regaining his senses, Jason began to observe his surroundings. The place was familiar. It was his own house. The comforting temperature in the air surprised him greatly. Because in December 2050, Blue Planet was affected by a supernova explosion 50,000 light-years away, ushering in a global Cambrian ice storm. Global temperatures plummeted, and the daily temperature in Awaken City, where Jason lived, hovered around -60 to 70 degrees Celsius, with blizzards lasting a month and engulfing the entire city. It was said that, in the northern part of country, temperatures even reached a terrifying -100 degrees Celsius, burying the earth in ice and snow. Various species became extinct on a massive scale, and even humans suffered a loss of over 95% in this catastrophe. Jason stood up and took out a bottle of water from the fridge, gulping down most of it. Despite the low temperature of the refrigerated water, it felt like nectar to him now. During the apocalypse, the only way people could obtain water was to venture out, endure the extreme low temperatures of -60 to 70 degrees Celsius, and melt snow for water. Such tasks often led to death by freezing. After drinking the water, Jason checked his phone. It displayed the date, November 12th. A full month before the apocalypse. "It seems I've been reborn." Jason breathed deeply, quickly understanding what had happened. That month's experience couldn't have been a dream, especially the pain of being dissected, which was too real. Jason looked up, feeling immense relief after surviving the ordeal. At the same time, a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He clearly remembered those who had killed him. In this life, he vowed to live well and never show kindness to those beasts again. Moreover, while ensuring his own safety, he must seek fierce revenge on those monsters. However, currently, Jason first needed to consider how to survive the apocalypse that would arrive in a month. Jason's living conditions were decent. His parents had passed away early, leaving him a 120-square-meter house in Awaken City. He also had more than 2 million yuan in savings, which was considered relatively affluent in ordinary times. But with the apocalypse looming, supplies worldwide would become severely scarce. His savings would barely last long, given the immense amount of supplies needed to survive alone. Surviving required vast resources, and Jason not only wanted to live, but also to maintain a certain quality of life. Food, entertainment, and mental well-being were all necessary to prevent spiritual collapse over time. Additionally, weapons and equipment were essential to protect his safety and seek revenge on his neighbors. Suddenly, a streak of white light appeared before Jason's eyes. Thinking his right eye was blurred, he reached out to rub it. But instantaneously, a strange thought surged in his mind. It seemed that the streak of white light was part of him, and his mind received information about the white light. With a single thought, Jason's consciousness instantly entered the white light. Upon entering, he discovered an enormous, vast white space. Its area was unknown, only vast emptiness. Is this an alternate dimension? It seems I've gained some special abilities after rebirth. Jason's heart rejoiced. It appeared that the gamma rays had mutated his body, granting him supernatural powers. With this vast space, storing supplies for the apocalypse would be much easier. However, Jason wanted to know how much the space could hold, and if there were any restrictions on the objects it could absorb. His consciousness immediately returned to his room, and he began trying to place items from his home into the space. Starting with teacups and basins, they easily entered the space. Jason then attempted to put larger appliances inside. Televisions, refrigerators, washing machines, computers, air conditioners, vacuum cleaners. The white space welcomed everything, consuming them all. Moreover, with just a thought, Jason could retrieve items from the space. However, objects under strong external forces and not existing independently were difficult to enter the space. For example, when he tried to rip a floorboard from the ground, there was no response. The alternate dimension seems to have many rules that I need to slowly figure out. But just this huge space capable of storing objects allows me to store immense resources. He licked his lips, forming a bold plan in his mind. Jason worked as a supervisor at the Walmart supermarket's Southern Country warehouse. As the world's largest supermarket, Walmart had a myriad of goods. It had 3 giant warehouses in country: Central, Southern, and Northern. These warehouses were incredibly huge, especially the Southern one. Built in 2040, it was 1,500 meters long and 720 meters wide, covering over 1 million square meters. It was known as the world's 8th wonder by the president of Walmart Greater Country. Of course, there were only 7 officially recognized wonders of the world, but the 8th wonder was self-titled, with several thousand candidates. Nonetheless, the size and storage capacity of the Southern warehouse were unmatched in the global warehousing industry. Its stockpiled supplies could feed tens of millions of people in several cities for a week. That meant if Jason emptied one warehouse's supplies into his space, he would have more than enough resources for not just one lifetime, but 10. Crucially, Walmart had strict quality control. There were no low-grade, off-brand items in the warehouse. Whether food, household items, or luxury goods, they were all reputable brands. If Jason could empty one of Walmart's warehouses, he wouldn't just have to worry about supplies during the apocalypse. He could live a very comfortable life. As a warehouse supervisor, Jason was extremely familiar with every shelf, surveillance equipment, and staffing schedule. Emptying the warehouse would not be difficult for him. Having made a decision, Jason felt much lighter inside. Suddenly, Jason's stomach growled in hunger. Jason rubbed his stomach and glanced at the bought braised chicken rice on the table. Jason stroked his chin and hesitated for a while before shaking his head with a smile, choosing to forgo the takeout. In a month, it'll be the end of the world. Many delicious foods need to be enjoyed quickly. Otherwise, there won't be a chance later. Why be stingy with myself now? He had endured a month of cold and hunger, and now he eagerly desired hot, delicious food. What was the use of keeping money? After the apocalypse, money would become worthless paper. It was better to spend it all now than waste it. Jason turned around and headed to a high-end restaurant he had previously been unable to afford, ready to enjoy a hearty meal.